Hi, folks. I'm Don Meisner, and I'm here with Russ Eddy today, and I want to welcome you to Up North NY Chat. And on today's show, we're going to be looking at a muskie that Russ hooked, one of the many, many muskies that he's hooked. But there'll be something special about this. So, Russ, let's look at this now, and then I'm going to let you sort of take people through the video.
You know, I remember this fish, Don, really very well, partly because of the video, but also because, you know, when we talk about that learning curve on muskie fishing all the time, and this was about my third year of muskie fishing, and I was still moving up the curve. And I had started to catch more muskies. I was fishing with Dave on this day, and I was in a slump, Don. It had been a really, really long time since I had hooked a muskie, fought a muskie, got the muskie in the boat, as we say, which means really catching it and releasing it and holding it, and back then taking a picture of it and releasing it. And that, I remember when I was reeling that lure in, you can tell it's a pink grass pig, and that muskie hit really hard, and then the fight was on, and I knew I had caught this fish, and it was all mine, and I was going to get that fish and bring it to the boat and just break my slump. And that fish, well, I think that fish is what happened here, right here. As you can see, that fish had other ideas.
And he's gone. Say that again.
I don't mind that one bit. That was awesome. Thank you, Sid.
You know, as we look at this jump, you know, I always figured from way back when I first started fishing muskies that the highlight of the whole experience was if that muskie came out of the water. And as we looked at that jump, I think what it epitomizes is the ultimate climax of that struggle that muskie goes through. This is where they give it their all. They come out, they twist their body. It's their last ditch stand to survive whatever it is that has taken charge of them. And to see that jump, you know, we usually think it happens so fast, the fish comes out of the water and they go back in. But not so much the case. As you watch in slow motion, when that fish comes out, it gyrates his body in every single way to try to free that hook from its mouth. And so to me, you don't get that with northern pike. You don't get that with a lot of other fish, but with the muskie, they are so incredible that they almost always come flying out of the water trying to beat you.
You know, even in slow motion, watching that jump, I've tried to count the gyrations, the twists, and the flips, and I still can't quite get it right, because I've seen that muskie does at least a flip and a half, if not a double flip, and twists 2.5 times. I mean, it looks like Greg Louganis coming off of the high dive board. It was so that, and I would never have known that if we hadn't watched that slow motion video. And you're so right about, I mean, what kind of physical effort. That fish just put everything into that. And had it not thrown the hook, I'd have fought it a little bit more, netted it. And when they're in the net, we all know they gyrate even worse, and they get all tangled up in the net sometimes. And then releasing the hook out of them when they're in the net can be tricky. And then you take it out of the water, and then you put it back in the water. Think how drained and how physically spent that fish would have been had it gone through all that. And that moment, it was actually a little bit transformative. It was really transformative for me, because it really helped me to, even in the midst of a slump, to just appreciate the connection with the fish, no matter how it happens. And I really, these days, I like not ever touching them at all.
Well, that's a super way of putting it. You know, I was going to ask you a couple questions, but I'd almost like to end that way. But I will ask you, number one, how often does the muskie beat you? And that's kind of not a good way to put it, because I think just tangling with him is a trophy and a triumph for you. But how often do they get off?
Far more often than not. First of all, at least 50% of the time, give or take, they don't even strike. I mean, how many times do they just follow when you see a wake and maybe never see the fish, or the wake appears, and then you see the fish behind the lure, and the fish, you just can't get it to strike. That happens frequently. Then the strike happens. I mean, I've had them strike, and I have every ounce of confidence that I hooked the fish. The fish is struck. I've set the hook as well as I could, or at least thought I could. The rod is bent over. I'm fighting the fish. I get the fish for a good 10 or 15 seconds halfway to the boat or in the midst of the fight, like just magically vanishes, gone. And then I look at my lure, and it's a plastic lure, and I can see that the hook tip is still buried in the lure, which means the fish was never, ever hooked. It just clamped down with its jaws, held its mouth shut for as long as it felt like it, and then when it decided it was done with this, it opened up its mouth and let the lure go. It happens a lot like that.
Rust, why do you musky fish?
Why do I breathe air? You know, it just means so. It's just such a part of me. Yet when I came here, I trout fished and fly fished only, and that became a passion. And then when I arrived here and was shown and given the gift of muskie fishing, it just grabbed me, and it's just part of my soul. And it just makes me a better person. It makes me enjoy being myself a lot more. I don't know how else to say it.
There probably isn't any other way to say it other than look at your face, see the smile, and feel the vibes coming from you when you talk about going muskie fishing. Well, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that being able to share this with Rust has given you a better insight into why this kind of fishing can hook you for life. Until next time, folks, we'll see you on Up North NY Chat.